ban on Western trust accounts to stay. Motives for Fund Consolidation Act questioned. And judicial awareness workshop focuses on human trafficking.
This is National MTV News with Meriba Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us. This is Thursday's news. The ban on the CMCA and non-CMCA trust accounts of Western Province will not be lifted. This, according to Prime Minister Peter O'Neill. Mr. O'Neill says the audit exercise is near completion and a report will be tabled in Parliament. The Prime Minister made this statement after Northfly MP James Donald queried when the funds would be made available and if the funds are in safe hands.
It's been 3 years since the trust accounts for non-CMCA and CMCA groups of Western were temporarily seized by the then O'Neill-Dion government. Northfly MP James Donald queried how long it will take for the completion of the audit established by Prime Minister Peter O'Neill. He says these funds play a critical role in delivering services in these areas.
If audited and if you have the report, then tell us how much of our money is available. If audit is not done, then can you assure us if our money is in the safe hands?
Prior to responding, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill made known that gross abuse of these funds by leaders has been the reason the accounts were closed for auditing. PM O'Neill guaranteed the Northfly MP and his people that the accounts will be accessible after the audit.
As of today, I have not received a full report of the audit. And I know that it's difficult to the non-CMCA and CMCA areas, but I will not lift the ban, basically because I don't want these abuses to continue. If I don't receive the audit, Mr. Speaker, I will expand the inquiry that is going on OCTEDI, PNG Sustainable Development Program, and the non-CMCA and CMCA programs. I will extend the inquiry into that as well.
Medang MP Brian Kramer joined the conversation with a supplementary question asking whether the accounts are safe from manipulation.
So my question to the Prime Minister is, rather than we wait to a point we don't know how far, when or will he make available to those stakeholders on those trust accounts so they can establish that those funds are in fact safe, and even as we speak they are not being misused during his term? Thank you.
Mr. O'Neill told Parliament that auditing is in its final stages and the report will be presented to the House. He maintained that the ban will not be lifted.
I will not allow that account to be open until the audit reports are finalized, and I will table it to this. Doesn't matter who says. That is going to be the final position, Mr. Speaker.
A total of around 300 million is parked in these two accounts. Jack Lapava Jr., National MTV News.
Northern Governor Gary Juffa highlighted flaws in the issuing of forest clearance authorization licenses by public servants in 4 government departments. Governor Juffa says it's not only his province that is affected, but nearly all provinces where illegal logging and exploitation of land is happening. He directed his questions to Agriculture Minister Benny Allen in Parliament today.
According to inquiries carried out by the Northern Governor, officers in the Agriculture and Forest Department had allegedly collaborated to grant FCA licenses to developers despite carrying out the community hearing processes. Governor Juffa says this has led to violence and confusion by resource owners in his province.
Suppose certificate of compliance is not being come, how now Ministry of Forestry is granting FCA lo Collingwood Bay? Because no got community hearing been come up. Now, how only gives him certificate of compliance? Now, time of grant him FCA granted past time. Now, agricultural plan and he come behind. You got look some of this law or no got?
With Northern mostly affected, Governor Juffa says government departments are not following processes before a FCA license is issued. He says such public servants cause havoc for resource owners as illegal logging and exploitation occurs.
You look on some FCAs now come up on some SABLs, whereby any good idea. But on sample Heitman inside the government department, now sample middleman or conman, also around the backside of the Borgo post office, na kind of same. Only boom one time or something like Yemen developers were only criminal. Now come inside law stealing resource flow people blow you me.
Minister responsible Benny Hallen says it's an administration issue. He also demanded the names of those responsible and will seek help from the Forest Department and other state agencies.
Suppose department blow me or local issue certificate of compliance without or beyond law or due process. Mela by Panimot na Migim Savel or this law officers. But me talk thank you lo consent blow you, thank you lo when I work you working finish one time department, but me follow up na come back to you.
Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
The motives of the Public Money Management Regularization Act 2017 have been questioned. KVN MP Ian Ling Stuckey, in a series of questions to the Prime Minister, asked the government about the real motives of the PMMR Act, which he claimed was now adversely hampering the ability of statutory authorities to carry out their duties. The Public Money Management Regularization Act 2017 came into effect on the 9th of April this year. Through this act, 90% of all government authorities' accounts have been transferred to the Department of Finance. According to KVN MP Ian Ling Stuckey, the PMMR Act has effectively starved these authorities from much-needed funds, which has also hampered their ability to conduct operations. In light of these concerns, he raised a series of questions regarding the real motives of this legislation.
Can you confirm that the PMMR Act 2017 is a draconian law enacted by government out of desperation simply to access money earned by state entities? Was this new money law enacted by government hoping to bail out the country of the current financial mess and low cash flow problems government itself has created? What do you say about the fact that by channeling all money earned by state entities into consolidated revenue fund, the whole operations of public entities, including project funding, salaries and wages, and other activities, are severely affected?
In response, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill assured Parliament that the PMMRA was not designed to hamper operations, but rather to consolidate all excess funds which were prone to misuse by various authority boards and management.
Unfortunately, that has not been the case. We have established little empires everywhere. People receiving money on behalf of our people and our government, managing at free will, at pet projects that are not approved by government, some of which are not for the benefit of our country or of our people. That is why government need to establish a position that these excess funds that are being managed at self-will by individual agencies must be brought back to consolidated revenue.
The Prime Minister also assured members of Parliament that cash flow was not an issue as the normal systems of tax collection were being sustained.
We are managing the cash flow through what collections that we have through normal government operations. That is by the tax revenues and all the fees that we collect and that are being deposited in the consolidated revenue. And as a result, we are meeting our ongoing obligations.
The Ombudsman Commission had recently filed a Supreme Court reference seeking clarification as to whether some provisions of the PMMRA were unconstitutional. This matter was to have been heard this week. Lay police arrested a suspect who was caught using a fake 100 kina note. He was searched and police found more fake 100 kina notes worth up to 3,700 kina. The suspect said the fake notes were brought in from Port Moresby and given to him to use. He was caught after purchasing alcohol at a shop in the Busroom compound area. He was arrested and charged and is being remanded at the Buimo prison. A judicial awareness workshop on combating human trafficking in Papua New Guinea is being held in Port Moresby. The workshop highlights exploitation as the end result of human trafficking. The workshop aims to address human trafficking at the judicial level.
Human trafficking, or trafficking in person, as it is formally known, is the smuggling of people to a different environment for forced labor or other forms of exploitation. The Judicial Conference in Port Moresby aims to highlight areas in the court system to address this trending international crime. Very little is known about human trafficking in Papua New Guinea, but because of the increase in reported human smuggling cases internationally, amendments were made to the Papua New Guinea Criminal Code Act in 2013. Between 2015 and 2017, 15 cases of human smuggling were identified and reported. From the 15, 2 were international cases, while 13 were domestic cases. From the 13 domestic cases, 2 have been committed to stand trial at the National Court. Research conducted by UN agencies reveals that over 12 million people have been traded across international borders for cheap labor and forced prostitution. 80% of these victims are women and children. In Papua New Guinea, there are cases of women and girls falling victims to human trafficking, but there are limited laws to address this issue. Thus, this conference aims to strengthen PNG laws to address human trafficking both locally and internationally. Tekla Gunga, National MTV News.
8 Malaysians have been apprehended by the Labour Department and Immigration for not having proper work permits. The 8 were working on the new National Statistics Office building that is currently under construction by a foreign-owned construction company in Port Moresby. Their passports have been confiscated and they are awaiting deportation to Malaysia. The arrest comes after construction workers complained to the Labour Department of not being paid overtime, instances of tax evasion and safety gear not being provided to the local workers on site. You're watching National MTV News. We'll have more of today's stories when we come back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. The Independent Consumer Competition Commission has called for Bank South Pacific to cut back on its bank fees, charges and interest rates. In a statement today, ICCC Commissioner and CEO Paulus Ain said given the bank's recent declaration of its financials, it would be fair to share some of these positive returns with the struggling consumers of PNG by removing some of these fees and charges and also reducing interest rates so clients can enjoy the benefits together. Mr. Ain added that whilst there are many areas that contribute to the growth and above market performance, it is the ICCC's strongest view that the high interest rates on loans, bank fees and charges may have played a significant part in the above market performance of BSP over the years. In response, BSP CEO Robin Fleming has said the bank is always conscious about the plight of customers and consumers who have experienced financial difficulties in recent years, reiterating that BSP has not increased its fees for over 5 years and has in fact reduced many of its fees over that time. In addition, the bank has also introduced fee-free kids accounts, Sumatin accounts and Plus Saver accounts which also earn interest on their deposits at rates up to 3.5% per annum. Furthermore, BSP has highlighted that it continues to provide services in all major centres and most rural districts despite the difficulties that can be experienced in more remote areas. The 52nd APEC Tourism Technical Working Group has accepted the modern tourism concept which was developed by Papua New Guinea. Tourism Promotion Authority CEO Jerry Agus says PNG had put forward its policy agenda and is pleased with the outcome of the meeting.
Tourism Promotion Authority CEO says the 4 days of the Tourism Week has been a success for Papua New Guinea as a host nation. Not only did PNG chair the discussions in terms of putting forward its policy agendas, but its modern tourism concept was accepted by the APEC member countries. This concept includes the arrival of cruise ships in Milne Bay and East New Britain provinces in the last 3 years. Based on the discussions, TPA is looking at avenues to improve more contact between the locals and the tourists.
For the first time, we were actively involved in running agendas that are specifically for Papua New Guinea. And for the Tourism Working Group, there were 3 main projects or initiatives that were discussed specifically for relating to Papua New Guinea. And the first one was the voluntourism best practices. It was developed by Papua New Guinea especially Papua New Guinea Tourism Promotion Authority, the technical working group endorsed it. And that is now accepted as one of the APEC documents that will be circulated to all the 21 economies.
The 10th APEC Tourism Ministers meeting is set to kick off tomorrow. Mr. Agus confirms that at least 16 member countries will be attending the meeting. This includes ministers from Japan, Chile, United States, Vietnam and Russia.
Our Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture, Honorable Emil Tamur, will be the chairman of the meeting, and I will be representing the minister taking the PNG chair. So it's definitely going to be a good meeting after going through the technical working group meetings. I think most of the issues that was supposed to be discussed during TMM and all that has been discussed in detail during the technical working group meeting. So I'm sure the technical working group members from each of these economy will brief their ministers properly.
The Tourism Week ends with a site visit by APEC delegates to the new island province. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Following a recent announcement of a transformation exercise, City Pharmacy has today confirmed that they have sold off their cinema business. Paradise Cinema, which had originally been a joint venture between CPL and the Damoda Brothers of Fiji, has been sold to Vision City for an undisclosed sum. The transaction announced by CPL Managing Director Mahesh Patel. In a media brief, Patel said the sale of Paradise Cinema was part of the company's focus shift towards the core retail businesses based on the four-pillar strategies in health, food, shelter and lifestyle. Paradise Cinema's Waigani Central outlet officially closed on Wednesday. Patel has said both CPL and Vision City are committed to working together to ensure the long-term future of the cinema, which is a key and unique asset for Vision City Mega Mall, with the belief that this transaction provides compelling value for CPL, Vision City, and most importantly, the movie-going public in Port Moresby. More than 70 employees of Ley City Council garbage and sanitation sector raised concerns on media today on various issues affecting their work for almost 6 years. One of the concerns includes their safety gear, which the previous management denied them from. The Ley City Council Health Division under the new management met with the employees and made a commitment to purchase full safety gears.
These men are employees of Ley City Council garbage and sanitation sector. They came out today and raised their concerns on work issues that have affected them for the last 5 years. Their job includes garbage collection and cleaning. They do this from 6 a.m. to 8 o'clock in the night. They said that safety was a priority ignored by the management. The Ley City Council Health Division under the new management today made a commitment to purchase safety gear, which will possibly be given to them next week.
For almost 5 years, only work bare hands, directly involved anti-mold waste, both solid, liquid. Where health belong now, some concern now, the current management. So our purpose now, our aim now is to look after our employees. Industrial law that employer-employee relationship is very, very important. That responsibility of the employer, we have to provide the safety gears. We have to look after our employees.
An employee of the garbage and sanitation sector, who has been working there for almost 7 years, said he has no savings, though deductions were made from his pay.
Pay office cutting pay, but then office no sa pay munsad long society. That's the biggest problem since he come. But this la current management, mipla look sabe na time mipla make pay office make him direction automatically by mass pay office must pay gulo society. So I'm now but trying to improve him this la savings na loan blo mipla long help him all workman Mary.
The Lay City Council Supervisor for Garbage and Sanitation, Paul Caxon, told MTV this morning that these issues were there for years. With the new management, they now have the confidence to raise the issues of concern.
I think by me work closely with them all, director below me, management below me long. When I'm heavy belong workman, by me play Karim move him long this time.
Julie Badui Owa, National MTV News, Lay.
A morning tea hosted by Edai Town Development saw representatives from respective corporate organizations including Bank South Pacific, the Internal Revenue Commission and Port Moresby Chamber of Commerce discuss opportunities for first home buyers. Director of Edai Town Development Project, Kim Yong, said with the assurances given from the IRC on a housing scheme and with grants available from the market from BSP, working class Papua New Guineans now have the opportunity to own their own homes.
First home buyers now have access to home loans from BSP through its first home ownership scheme for homes selling below 500,000 kina. Targeting working class Papua New Guineans, Director of Edai Town Kim Yong says it's an employer-employee relationship through its employment benefits that could assist Papua New Guineans to own a home where the mortgage is paid by the company on a fortnightly or a monthly basis.
The finances are already there. BSP has got this really good product that can get you into your first home. That's now made it affordable, as well as the IRC is providing so much benefit to first home owners.
She says with equity opportunities available through BSP and IRC grant initiative, it is a win-win for both the first home buyer and the developer, but more so the buyers get to own the house and have full responsibility.
The IRC has given all the incentives, so it's everybody getting together and the Papua New Guinean workforce wanting to chase that dream into a reality.
Deputy General Manager of BSP, Kili Tambua, says the initiative is a fantastic opportunity for Papua New Guineans to purchase a home through BSP's First Home Buyers initiative.
So we've seen a rapid growth in the market for BSP First Home loan product in the past 3 years. This has largely been driven by LNG project during the construction phase and also been accelerated by PNG government involvement with BSP to address housing shortage in the country.
IRC Senior Executive Steve Burke says first-time home buyers are protected by the guidelines on how much is expected to pay off the mortgage.
Now, under this scheme, there are certain tax concessions that are available to the employee via their employer to help them afford to purchase their first home. One of the most difficult things to do in purchasing a first home is getting together that deposit.
Director Kim Yong says so far 161 units have been occupied with another 61 units nearing completion. The Edai Town Development will conduct an open house session on 9th of June and the public is encouraged to attend for inspections. Godwin Eki, National MTV News.
A 400 million kina treatment facility for the Port Moresby sewage system is nearing completion, with the first intake of sewage scheduled for early June. The Port Moresby sewage system's upgrading project is being constructed at Joyce Bay. The treatment plant is designed to treat 18.4 million litres per day and comprises of 13 pumping stations, a sewage network of 26 kilometres and a 1.2 kilometre ocean outfall. It is built to the highest international standards for wastewater treatment and will protect the Papuan coastline. Edirano will be the operator of the facility when it is officially opened in November during the APEC Leaders Summit. The project is jointly funded by the Japanese and PNG governments through JICA and Kumul Consolidated Holdings. This is Thursday's news. When we come back, we take a look at stories making headlines overseas. Stay tuned. Welcome back to National MTV News. Turning overseas now, a critical moment is looming in the proposed summit between US President Donald Trump and North Korea's ruler. Kim Jong-un has sent his right-hand man and chief nuclear negotiator to meet America's top diplomat in New York.
This is the week in the American calendar when the nation honours its fallen soldiers. Among them, the 36,000 US personnel killed in the Korean War. That conflict has never officially ended. The threat from North Korea has intensified, not gone away. This memorial in Washington reminds us of the horrors of war and the decades of failed diplomacy. In New York tonight, the latest diplomatic manoeuvre, the arrival on American soil of the most senior North Korean official to visit this country in nearly 20 years, a mission to salvage the Singapore summit. Kim Yong-chol is the Korean leader's right-hand man. At his side at the recent summit with the South Koreans, a former spy master who sat just yards from Ivanka Trump at the closing ceremony of the Winter Olympics. So tonight, the US Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, meeting with Kim Yong-chol, who we recently saw in Pyongyang. It's their third meeting in the last 2 months.
The conversation is going to be focused on denuclearization of the peninsula, as well as this summit that would take place in Singapore. And we're going to continue, as long as that is part of the discussion, we're going to continue to shoot for the June 12th.
The main stumbling block is likely to be what precisely is meant by the denuclearization of the Korean peninsula. The two sides have very different definitions. And the latest CIA assessment is pessimistic. The North Korea has no intention of giving up its nuclear weapons, but rather is considering a number of goodwill gestures, such as opening up a Western hamburger franchise in Pyongyang. That's not the kind of deal that Donald Trump is looking for, not even close. And the fear about a Singapore summit is that it could be all sizzle and no steak.
6 people remain in hospital after a tourist bus spun out of control and rolled on the Southland Highway in New Zealand. The bus was carrying a tour group from Korea. All 17 people on board suffered injuries.
Police believe the driver lost control on black ice, sending the bus spinning out before rolling off the road onto its side.
We've got people all over the place sitting on the road, being well cared for as we can, but people still stuck in the bus and coach, so not a pleasant sight to come across, not a pleasant scene for anybody.
The bus was carrying a Korean tour group, 17 people in total, including a driver and tour guide. 6 people were airlifted to hospital, 2 remain in a serious condition and 4 have moderate injuries. The rest of the passengers were cared for at Fiordland Medical Centre in Teiano. Police say icy conditions were a significant factor.
Just a very bad black ice, very cold, -4 degrees, so it's one of the big messages for everyone out there is the fact that really be careful in our winter conditions, because the winter conditions at the moment can be so bad and so horrific, and there's ice everywhere.
The highway was flagged as a concern earlier in the day by the New Zealand Transport Authority. The road was gritted early this morning, but it's an incredibly dangerous stretch of highway that's prone to black ice. In 2012, on the same stretch of road, a bus carrying Chinese tourists also rolled on black ice and some were injured. In the past 5 years, there have been 37 crashes along this highway. The NZTA says it's recently installed 100 safety signs along the road and is partway through installing safety barriers. Today's accident, a terrifying reminder of the dangers of winter driving on these roads.
Still in New Zealand, the ski season is officially underway with hundreds of snow lovers taking to the slopes of Mount Taranaki in New Zealand today to mark the first ski field opening of the year.
It's what they've been waiting for. Awesome! And when you're one of the smallest and cheapest ski fields, bragging rights are so important.
First in the country, first in May, and I think we're even going to claim first in the Southern Hemisphere.
Nearly 200 skiers and snowboarders were on Manganui ski field today, the first official day of the season.
We're pretty lucky, got a good boss, gave us the day off to come up and get the first ride of the season.
It's pretty wicked. Yeah, looking forward to getting the little one out, every bit of a play.
And in this game, age is no barrier for Peter Quinn.
Most people don't do anything in the winter, just sit on their bums and do nothing. And that's why the hospital's full of sick people.
The 81-year-old skied Manganui for more than 6 decades and is showing no signs of slowing down.
This is the thing, people retire, what do? You've got to do something. Go for a walk in the rain.
Ski fields around the country are gearing up for a bumper season. The beginner slopes at Mount Ruapehu will be opening tomorrow, while some recent heavy dumps down south has excitement levels riding high. Cadrona will be open for a sampler this weekend before all the major fields open in a couple of weeks. And as far as opening days go, you really can't get much better than this. The sun is shining, perfect snow conditions, and lots of happy skiers and snowboarders. Happy for now, but wet weather's on its way.
Which means it will probably be the first to close as well.
Maybe another reason for a chat with the boss about tomorrow.
This is National EMTV News. We go for a break now. When we come back, some sporting updates in Trukai Sports. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. To begin with Rugby League, and Central Province is on the verge of entering a team into the PNG NRL competition. Their bid has been led by prominent people from the province. They received their first corporate sponsorship from Vitis Industries this week.
The franchise team will be known as the Central Dabari. Dabari in the Motu language is a species of the wallaby family, commonly referred to as the king wallaby. Central Province has produced its fair share of legends of the game, but has never had a team in the Intercity Cup competition. The B team is led by Chairman Keith Iruhu, Hubert Warupi, Eddie Ayla, Chris Enara, Manu Lofena and business partners Vicky Mosin and Solo Damena. They plan to recruit players from the 7 leagues in the province.
As well as accessing to the playing membership in the Confederate of approximately 20,000 plus players, which I'm sure you'll appreciate is an enormous amount of talent to draw from. We are confident that come March next year, we will bear witness to the inclusion of our very first provincial team for the National Rugby League competition.
They are not only focused on men's participation in the sport, but to also involve schools through the rugby development program and women. Since the formation of the bid team in March, they have secured corporate sponsorship. Vitis Industries Limited has joined in the bid with a 3-year sponsorship of the team. The team will now be called the Vitis Central Dabari Rugby League team. The Vitis Industries sponsorship comes in 2 components, an annual cash sponsorship and an in-kind sponsorship, where players will be employed and accommodated by Vitis.
The in-kind sponsorship will enable players and key franchise personnel to be employed or might have an opportunity to be introduced to meaningful engagement in the off time, when not whilst off the field. As you can see, this compound features a modern gymnasium and pool facility and some world-class support.
Vitis business representative Vicky Mosin says they are pleased to support the bid and are looking forward to the Central Dabaris compete in the PNG NRL competition next year.
Is to fund and support Central Province, Central Dabari Rugby League, to identify those potential players to represent us on the national.
Speaking on behalf of PNG RFL was Southern Confederate Chairman Gwaibo Mairi, who said the sponsorship has given an extra boost to the bid.
We had the Central Roosters accepted in the NRLC competition 3 years ago, and we didn't have the money to put the team in.
Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
To football now, and Papua New Guinea Football Association President John Wesley Gondruan says PNGFA has reached its eventful time of the year and preparations for the 2018 and 2019 National Soccer League season are underway. Currently, officials are working closely with junior and senior players for the competitions ahead.
This year will be eventful for PNGFA as they prepare their players for the upcoming national and regional tournaments. PNGFA President John Wesley Gondruan says this year will bring together football players of all ages to engage in their individual programs. Gondruan says with the National Soccer League competition now over, the focus will now turn to training and preparing national teams for the upcoming tournaments.
Yes, we have the under 19 and under 16 men's qualifying tournament that will be held in the mid of this year. I can't really give you the date because yes, so preparation is going on, selection is also going on. The under 19 tournament which will be held in Tahiti, and the under 16 will be held in Solomon Islands. Yes.
Two important events the preparations will target are the Under-19 Oceania Championships in Tahiti and Under-16 in Solomon Islands.
Yes, this year PNGFA will be hosting a youth festival, which will be held during the second term school holiday. We will be having a tournament in Lae for the northern zone area, which includes islands and Momase and New Guinea Islands, and also the another tournament will be held here in Mosby at the same time for the southern region schools and associations.
He says the national team for the Under-19 squad to Tahiti for the first time will see 4 young talents that have come through the ranks taking part. Gonjuan also highlighted that with the Pacific Games only months away, training and selection of the final squad will also be finalized towards the end of the year, including the preparations of 2 national teams, Toti FC and Wawens.
Yes, we have already appointed the coaching and the management team. We've also submitted the list that the big list as they call it, so that we can be able to conduct further training and then screen them down so we can be able to have the required number. Hopefully, now that we have concluded the NSL, the other trainings will start kicking off, the national team training and also including the Pacific Games team training.
Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
Still in football, the children at the Engau Children's Ward were visited by reigning National Soccer League champions Toti City FC. This is part of the team's community service activities backed by their sponsor, Lay Biscuit Company. For the children who were strong enough to eat, they treated themselves to the biscuits in show bags. Their guardians equally pleased with their new shirts. Team captain Raymond Gunemba said it was a joy being able to visit the children at the ward and spread some cheer. Trukai Sports continues with more after these messages. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The PNG Olympic Committee will hold a meeting with the Justification Committee and the national federations this weekend in regards to the 2019 Pacific Games in Samoa. The validation process for sports to attend the Pacific Games will be done by the Justification Committee. The meeting will also serve to authorize sports officials for various sports. PNG is hoping to have athletes competing in all 27 sports on offer. However, failure to submit any documents to the PNG OC will result in possible omission from the PNG squad for 2019. Moving on to cricket. Cricket PNG is now reaching another milestone with their development goal of expanding the reach of the sport. 48 community cricket facilities around the country will be built thanks to a joint partnership between the Australian Government, Cricket Australia, New Zealand Cricket and Cricket PNG.
With only one existing standard wicket at the Amini Park here in Port Moresby, bringing cricket to other centres has been a challenge. And in the last few years, Cricket PNG's development programs has reached 10 centres with almost 200,000 school children playing softball cricket. Now, 48 new wickets will help the growth of cricket development now with the $400,000 funding.
To Cricket Australia and New Zealand Cricket, and they've matched that to $200,000. So it's $400,000 for us to build wickets around this country in 11 provinces. That will create, in 2 or 3 years once we finish this project, 44,000 more people playing the game of cricket in hardball.
CPNG CEO Greg Campbell says this is a big step forward for cricket in the country as the Cricket Facilities Enhancement Project will triple participation in hardball cricket.
So I'd like to say a big thank you, especially to the Aussie High Commission, Cricket Australia, New Zealand Cricket and the ICC for also joining in Cricket PNG's vision and mission of getting more children playing, more adults playing, more facilities playing, making not a dream. This has always been our mission in our strategic plan and vision to have more facilities.
The initial groundwork of the project has already been done, with the first 5 wickets to be built in the coming weeks.
In the next 2 or 3 weeks, 5 of these wickets will be rolled out already. The synthetic grass is on its way. It depends how quick the boat can get here, but already by the hopefully 5 or 6 weeks we'll have 5 facilities ready up and going for us to play cricket. So we've already started that, and then we'll go through Central, and then we'll start the rest of the regions. So we've already got the ball rolling on that part.
Australian High Commissioner to PNG, His Excellency Bruce Davis, says the Australian government looks forward to seeing continued partnerships such as this, especially with sports, as it is a platform to address social issues.
Lastly, I think it is also important that we use sport for getting across other messages and ensuring that the work that is done through the community, whether it first and foremost, I guess, is around good, healthy activity can be sustained, but also, using it as an opportunity to spread further messaging around what is good activity and good community. And, some of the work that's been done by some sporting groups, for example, around violence against women, has been a very important messaging opportunity, and one that we'd like to see sustained as well. So congratulations to Cricket PNG for all the effort, the initiative, the perseverance, and the good advocacy to get us to this point. I hope now we can take it to the next stage of seeing a pretty quick rollout of these facilities across the country. That it's enhancing the facilities, as Greg's already mentioned, in a collaborative way with other sports, certainly not in competition with them. We look forward to seeing how this all comes together. We look forward to then seeing how we can carry the partnership even further forward in other ways.
Dinero Striko, National EMTV Sports.
To Super Rugby now, and flanker Sam Cane is back for the Chiefs this weekend. New All Black skipper Sam Whitelock and Test midfielder Ryan Crotty are missing another week of rugby due to head knocks. The pair have been ruled out of the Crusaders-Chiefs game this weekend in Hamilton, with the first All Blacks test against France next week.
Ryan Crotty looked fine today, but not for the first time he's facing head knock frustrations.
We just took making sure we did the right thing by them, and with the protocols of the HIA, they weren't quite ready.
The HIA being rugby's head injury assessment process. While Crotty trained lightly today, Sam Whitelock wasn't spotted and played a limited physical role earlier in the week in the All Blacks camp. Their availability for the first test, now just 9 days away, is up in the air.
It is a day-to-day thing, and look, today they're great. So maybe if we played Sunday, they could have been available, so it's that close.
Crotty's had other head issues this season and in the past, while Whitelock also suffered another knock back in March.
It's a week-by-week thing, so we'll see what happens next week.
That's when the All Blacks and their medical team will make the call, also pressing for another Crusader, Lucy Pete Samu, and whether he can play for the Wallabies in the coming weeks. Still to gain a release from NZR before he leaves the Crusaders at the end of the current season.
He's going to be a Wallaby at some stage, isn't he? So if it's in June and they decide that, great, good on him.
Wallaby or not, Samu's replaced next year by Fetu Douglas, who stood out last season but then honoured a deal to play in Italy. Present day, it's the tricky Chiefs in Hamilton this weekend. The Crusaders are down a few players, but still top of the table.
And that's it for Trukai Sports. We go for a break. Up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours.
Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast now, and for the New Guinea Islands region, a shower or two expected in Lorangau, Kaving and Kimbe. Some showers expected in Kokopo and Rabaul, and brief showers expected in Buka with a top of 32 degrees.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG
and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's the news, sport and weather for today, Thursday, the last day of May 2018. On behalf of the EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.